What is up, my friend? It is Thursday night. It is the late night agenda, and it is great to have you all with us. Thank you for giving up some of your evening to have a chat with me. We're going to go through the latest on the managerial situation, which very much does look like it is coming to its conclusion. We may even see an announcement in the coming days, according to various journalists. So we're going to try figure out what stage we're at, what we could expect if Arne Slot does indeed become the next Liverpool coach. And also, what the hell happened last night at Goodison Park, because it still feels quite raw to me, if I'm being honest with you. I've been listening to the interviews, Virgil van Dijk, Jurgen Klopp, and reading the media stuff, same as everybody else. And I've also been spending the day trying to get as much information as I can on what we could expect from Arne Slot, his style of football, stuff like that. We'll try to bring it to you over the next hour and a half. So, how are we all? Hurt over last night, yeah, it was a long night, DA7, mate, it was. 2-0 to Feyenoord at the moment in their game as well, which is fairly good, thank you. And look, obviously tonight we were supposed to be doing the watch-along of the Man City game, but there's no way I'm subjecting myself to that when we're out of the title race. Let's be honest about it. It's between Manchester City and Arsenal at this point. And I think the general consensus is we probably don't deserve to be in a title race at this point, but it still stings, doesn't it? You know, losing to Everton in the manner we did last night, still feel quite angry about it, but, you know, we can change it. It is what it is. What would you think of Arne Slot bringing in Watkins for Nunez this summer? I just don't think there's any chance that Liverpool buy Ollie Watkins, because I don't think Aston Villa will sell. So I haven't really had much time to think about what the transfer business might look like, but I do have a lot to say on Arne Slot, on his style of football, and I'm going to record a little video on that tomorrow as well. Alex Cooper, how are you, my friend? Thank you. First super chat of the night, mate. Appreciate you. Said, one thing I will say about Arne Slot is that he has shown more desire for the job than Alonso or Amarim. Yes, he has. And I suppose we should probably start off about that, because he was asked by ESPN in his, well, I guess his pre-match interview before Feyenoord's game tonight, you know, what's going on with his future. And he said this, and this makes me very happy. The clubs are negotiating. I'm waiting to see what will come out of it. It's no secret that I would like to go to Liverpool. Now I am waiting for the clubs to reach an agreement. I have every confidence in that. So he's basically come out and said, yes, I want the job. Yes, we have negotiated, and yes, the clubs are trying to figure out the compensation fee now. So that is the latest, the very, very latest. But there's loads of other things that have gone on throughout the course of the day that, of course, we're going to try and bring to you. Oh, it's 3-0 City. Oh, there you go. I'm so glad I didn't do the watch-along then. God almighty, that would have been a depressing watch-along, to say the least. Right, let's go through this though, because I know you guys will have a lot of questions, and I certainly have a lot of questions myself. But if I may, I want to rewind back a little bit to last night before we get stuck into all the Arne Slot stuff. And don't worry, we've loads of time tonight. Tomorrow's my day off, so I don't mind staying on late tonight and going through all of this stuff. Any questions you have, I will try my best to answer. So I want to just speak about Virgil van Dijk and Jurgen Klopp's post-match interviews last night, if I can. I found myself feeling really, really sad for Jurgen. You could see it. And he came out and said, firstly, I want to apologise to the fans. You could see the hurt written all over his face, and it nearly broke me. I hate seeing Jurgen look that way. I hate seeing Jurgen feel that way. I know that this season hasn't had the ending that we've all wanted, but I will only ever think of that man in great terms. I love him. I love him dearly. He has brought me incredible time supporting this football club, and I hate to see him going out this way. And that's what was making me so angry last night, to see the players out there on the pitch accepting their fate like they did, and not winning their battles, not winning their duels. I know I get frustrated seeing Klopp on the sideline, but ultimately it does come down to those players on the pitch. And I really felt for Jurgen in his post-match interview, and I thought it was incredibly honest of him, incredibly forthright of him, and again, just is the measure of the man. But I can't say the same about Van Dijk. Van Dijk said a couple of things that I think there's some sense to, but some I'll go through it and I'll see what you think. So he said, games like these, the bare minimum is fight. We were lacking that in so many moments in the game. Small challenges, some passes that were not clear. So we came into challenges that they win and they get momentum out of it. They were having, I don't know how many set pieces. That could make a difference because it's a strength of theirs. But we have to look in the mirror, and every one of us has to think like, listen, you can't accept this. You can't accept the way we let our season end. He went on to speak a little bit further, and he said, what happened, he was asked, and he said, it's confidence, inexperience, challenges, maybe afraid to make mistakes in this part of the season. I don't know. It's a mix, but it brings us to the situation where we can't accept this. We had talks with the team and everybody is agreeing, but on a match day, that's what counts. It's a disappointing night for all of us, and we have to look at ourselves. We can't accept this, turn it around and finish as much as we can. The one part that annoys me about what Virgil said is, he needs to take his own responsibility for this as well. He's talking about inexperience there. There is plenty of experience in that team. And it hasn't been lost on many of us Liverpool fans that we've gotten worse since the players came back from injuries. We were finding a way with the younger players. Now, I'm not looking to scapegoat Virgil van Dijk here. He is the club captain, so that's why I'm talking about him and Jurgen Klopp. We'll get to performances in a moment, but there was one comment that I don't want to say wound me up, but somebody tried to make out like I had an agenda against Ibrahima Konate because I said in my Everton preview that he's been diabolical, and I think he has. I don't understand how some of our fans don't seem to be open or willing to critique players who are failing. And I'm not saying that Ibrahima Konate won't turn it around because we know what he's capable of. But we are not seeing the same Ibu that we've seen previously. And my response to this person was, you don't get taken off as a centre-back if you're having a great game. And Ibrahima Konate was anonymous last night. I read a very good tactical piece today, and Jamie Carragher was also speaking, and he said that they were blocking off Virgil van Dijk, those Everton players yesterday, and they weren't giving Virgil van Dijk the opportunity to win aerial challenges. But I guess the follow-on from that is, who else was doing it? If Virg couldn't or can't get to the ball, you would definitely expect the likes of Ibrahima Konate or other players there to be able to challenge and win aerial duels. But we were losing duels all over the place. Virgil spoke in his post-match interview about the amount of free kicks and chances we gave up. Well, yeah, but that was our fault. Whether you want to talk about Andy Madley giving soft frees or not, if you see that's the way the referee is officiating the game, then you're going to have to adjust the way you're defending. We were our own worst enemies yet again last night. That is a very average Everton team, but they did what is a bare minimum in the derby. They showed up and played like it was a derby, and played like it meant something to them. And we were second best all around the pitch, and that is unacceptable. So at this point, for me, I'd like to see us look to the future. There's 4 games remaining. I think we should look at what next season's going to look like, what the future's going to look like, and start to give opportunities to those who deserve them. That's where I'm at with all of this. And I'm not trying to scapegoat anybody. There has been little moments and glimpses of positivity. Diaz has shown a lot lately. I could still like a little bit more from him in the final third, but he's putting effort in. But I will not and I cannot anymore defend Mohamed Salah and Darwin Nunez for the remainder of this campaign. You all know about the stats about Darwin. You all know what the situation is with him. But there was an interesting piece on Sky Sports around Mohamed Salah. They have stats from Mohamed Salah before January the 1st and after January the 1st. And these are the stats. Before January the 1st, Mohamed Salah per game was averaging 0.72 goals per game. After January the 1st, when he came back from his injury, we've seen 0.53. He had 0.41 assists per game before January 1st. After January 1st, that less than halves. It's down to 0.18 assists per game. Goal involvements also halved. He was at 1.14 goal involvements per game, and now he's at 0.71. Actually, not quite half, sorry, but lower than he was previously. His expected goals have actually risen, which makes it even more frustrating that he isn't taking those chances. And his shots on target per game has increased since January the 1st. It just shows that he's been more wasteful in front of goal. He's now averaged 2.47 shots per game since January the 1st. Before that, 1.7. So our forward line is misfiring. And I don't know if Salah's drop-off is to do with fatigue, injury, age, system. I don't know. But I know that it isn't working. Same with Darwin Nunez. And I don't know if we can rescue the Darwin Nunez situation. I truly don't. But this is unacceptable that these players at the business end of a campaign are missing chance after chance after chance. Carragher and Neville spoke about it with regard to Darwin Nunez yesterday, saying that there are chances that any forward should be gobbling up. Gary Neville was speaking about the one-on-one that he had with Pickford, slightly to the right of goal, and he blasted wide. These are things that are just unacceptable. If you're not even putting these shots on target, you know, you can see why fans are getting frustrated and starting to lose patience with some of these guys. And I get it. Football goes in form and it's cyclical and players come in and out of form. And Salah has a lot more credit in the bank. But I still feel because of Salah's contract situation that it is time for that change at the club. And I would suggest that there's probably one or two more in that dressing room that could do with being moved on. But I'd love to know what you guys think. You know, I know last night we were all quite reactionary. We were all quite angry after the game. But we've all had a chance to sleep on it now. I've looked into some of the statistics behind it. And I feel like that there are just some senior players who are letting us down. It is that simple for me. Right, so I'm going to go to some of your comments. No genuine number 6 last night, said Wayne. Wayne, I agree, mate. I thought it was very strange that we seen Jurgen Klopp again put Alexis McAllister back into the number 6 when he's starting to show real form on the front foot as a number 10 or an 8, if you want to call it that. It was a shock to me last night, Wayne, to see him in the defensive midfield position. Do you know what was an even more bigger shock though, Wayne? If I'm being honest with you, and if the gloves are off, Szoboszlai and Jones should be nowhere near that starting 11 last night. Nowhere near it. And for them to be once again given the nod, and both of them stunk the gaff up, I don't get it. I don't get it. Whether you think Gravenberch deserved a chance or Elliott deserved a chance, I don't understand going into a derby and not sticking with Endo and McAllister as a starting point in midfield. What will be the motivation for the players on Saturday? With all due respect to them all, Troy, they shouldn't need to be motivated. They're professionals. This is their job. And if they're unable to motivate themselves for a game, then they should speak up and rest or have a little go on the bench. Because, again, it's a league game. And if they don't want to try and send the manager out with some form of positivity at the end of the campaign, we've got bigger problems, would be my question there, or my statement there. Who should be the new captain if Virgil is stripped of it? So firstly, if Arne Slot comes in, I don't know if we will see Virgil stripped of the armband or not. And do you know what? I'm not expecting Virgil to be stripped of it. I'm only giving you my opinion on the captaincy. I don't want Virgil to be stripped of it just because I'm in a huff with Virgil's captaincy. But there was a comment that I read earlier on, and I think it summarised my feelings pretty well. I shared it in our Discord group, and I'm going to share it with you guys in here as soon as I can find it. Where's that comment gone? Maybe I didn't post it in here, actually. Maybe I posted it somewhere else. 1 second. Yeah, I think I sent it to Connor, so bear with me. Yeah, it was a comment on the Echo, and I read it, and I think this summarises how I feel about Virgil's captaincy. So this guy said, Virgil is twice the player that Hendo was, but he's nowhere near as good a captain. This team has quit in so many games this year. Players like Nunez laughing after missing a sitter after sitter is just pathetic. And I feel like that first line summarises how I feel as well. Virgil's an incredible centre-back. Virgil is without a doubt still able to play, start and perform at the top level. But I do agree, as much as I despise the way Henderson left the club, I always said that he was a remarkably good captain. And I just don't know what the leadership style of Virg brings to the table. Because most of his mouthing last night was towards the referee at one point, and I didn't see much towards his teammates. So that's my take on it. Virgil, great player. Great having him around. Great having him at the club. No issues if he gets a new contract. I just really do question that leadership. Of course, if he stays, the boy is magic. He's South American. He's on fire. He is passionate. He is what Klopp do after the game. Hugs him and tells him. Would he do that to a player he sells? I don't know what any of that means, mate. If we're talking about Darwin, well, it doesn't matter what Klopp thinks of him anymore because Jurgen's departing in 4 more games. So his opinion doesn't really hold water. But what is important, and I think what we should pay attention to here, is when he was signed. He wasn't signed in Michael Edwards' tenure. And Michael Edwards has no loyalty to Darwin Nunez. I don't know what Michael Edwards will do, by the way. I'm not trying to say Michael Edwards will come in and immediately sell him. But what I'm saying is there wasn't a collective group opinion on Darwin that involved Michael Edwards because he wasn't at the club at that point. And there was an interesting thing from Jamie Carragher today speaking about the situation about Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp. And this, I thought, gives a little bit of insight. So Carragher was speaking about the future of Liverpool after Klopp's exit, and this is what he had to say. What's really interesting here is Michael Edwards, the sporting director, was there at the start of the Klopp era, but they've obviously fallen out for whatever reason, and a lot of his team have moved on. His team being the ones who were there with Michael Edwards. As soon as Klopp's gone, it's like the band are back together. It's obviously something has happened behind the scenes. The owners FSG felt it was more important to get that structure back rather than who the next manager is. There's no way Michael Edwards is coming back and not having all the power to run this club. He's not even in the same role. He's in a bigger role as they're going to try and buy other clubs. My worry going forward is that the manager, whoever they bring in, will just be a coach. And I want to know how you guys feel about that. Because for me, I think that's correct. So I look at it like this. Jurgen came in as a coach, but Jurgen built the club. Season by season, progression by progression, with Michael Edwards, with the other people at the club, Jurgen earned the right to have more say over what the club does and the direction that the club moves in with transfers and lots of other things. He earned that right. So a new coach coming in, be it Arne Slot or anybody else, I do think it's right that there's a structure in place and that initially at least that coach comes in and just does the coaching. And then over time proves their worth to become more involved in transfers or more involved in other aspects. So I'm not worried about that, but it does feel like, and Carragher doesn't go into any specifics, but he does say that it feels like there was a falling out at some point between Jurgen Klopp and Michael Edwards. I want to know, do you guys think that was the case? White Hammer said, agree with that 150%. Thank you for your super chat, my friend. Salah has been let down by his teammates. Bullshit. Bullshit. I'm sorry, mate. That's absolute pony. Salah has been part of the problem. He hasn't been tracking back. He hasn't been helping out defensively. And you say he's been let down by his teammates. He's having more chances. So the numbers don't back up this argument about Salah being let down. He's had more shots on target, but he's wasted them. He hasn't been as prolific. So I'm sorry, I disagree strongly that Salah's been let down by his teammates. His teammates kept us top of the league while Salah was away in the AFCON. So this illusion that somehow they're letting Salah down is absolute silliness. The whole team has let us down and let Jurgen down and let the fans down at times. And I'm not trying to single out Salah either. But this myth of Salah being still sprinkled with gold dust, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Like, we need to be realistic about what we're seeing. And he has been terrible lately, by any metric. Steve said, stop blaming Nunez. Again, nobody's blaming one person. We're going through the squad. We're talking about the people who aren't performing. And we're asking why. All problems start with Trent. All start with Salah and Trent's return. So, again, nobody's making Darwin miss the chances, mate. No, it's not down to Trent or Salah that Darwin Nunez is missing really good goal-scoring opportunities. So, you know, there's not one reason. There's not one player, one reason why everything has gone to crap over the last few weeks. It's a collective failure. Only for Edwards leaving, Salah got that contract. Only Edwards leaving, Salah got that contract. What Whitehammer thinks. Darwin, Salah, Jones and Szoboszlai should all be dropped in Ebu as well, said Emmy. David Ornstein, by the way, has been speaking about the situation of Darwin Nunez, because I know a lot of people are calling for Darwin to be sold, and I genuinely don't have any idea what the correct course of action is for Darwin. I don't know. But David Ornstein said, I very much doubt that Darwin Nunez will be leaving Liverpool. So the perceived wisdom from the journalistic standpoint is that Darwin's going nowhere. And I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I totally am on the fence. But for the remainder of this campaign, I don't agree with them starting. Maybe a new manager, new ideas, new training. I don't know. Maybe it'll change. But for me, I'd like us to look to the future and give Jayden Danns an opportunity for some of the remaining games, if not all of them. Signings have been worse since Edwards left, said Danny. Mate, I agree. I agree 100%. I'm very much team Michael Edwards in a lot of this. Now, I'm not anti-Jurgen Klopp by any stretch. I love Jurgen. But I am very much in the same camp with Michael Edwards in how he looks at the situation, how he looks at the club, how he looks at the performances, and how he removes emotion from it. I agree with a lot of his decision-making, and I agree with that from Danny as well, that I think our signings haven't been as strong since Edwards wasn't involved at the club or involved in the decision-making. Watching City is painful, shouldn't be in the Prem, said Corbyn. Mate, that is something I can get on board with, but not a conversation for this moment in time. But you know my thoughts on City anyway. Heavy Metal D said, evening Craig, hope you're better today. I honestly have no idea what has happened this month, but something has been, and I'm not ready to give up on Nunez. Look, I understand anybody who is ready to give up on Darwin, and I understand anybody who's not ready to give up on Darwin. He is one of those mercurial figures that will divide opinion and divide fans based off his performances. I don't know what the answer is there, and I'm not going to judge anybody for their opinion on Darwin Nunez. If you think he should be sold, I think you've every right to think that. If you think he should stay, I also think you've every right to think that. I am truly trying. I'm trying my best to stay on board with the whole Darwin thing, but it's been very frustrating. Danny Croft, thank you, Danny. Said, great show as always. Keep up the good work. Watching from Apollo Beach, Florida. So, to continue on my honesty, and you know I'm honest about everything, the two shows in Ireland coming up, the Dublin show could be in a bit of trouble. We don't know if that shows. The sales for the Dublin show have been really poor, and it's the most expensive venue we've ever booked. So we don't know what's going to happen with the Dublin show. We're going to promote it for another week or so with MCD and hope that we can see an uptick in sales. So if you are thinking of coming, please do get your tickets over the next week or so. The Belfast show is doing really well. We expect a full house on the night up in Belfast, but for whatever reason, be it the timing, be it me, be it whatever, the Dublin show is struggling. And I just want to give everybody a heads up on these things because I'm an open book. I like to give you guys as much information as I can. So just a quick word on that one. Right, where have we got here? Member comment from Lauren. How are we, Lauren? The way Salah flailed around his arms, sulking and not tracking back yesterday tells it all. He should be the leader of our attack. And also, I would add to that I don't think he's even going full-blooded into challenges, Lauren. But I think it's also important that we don't try to scapegoat any one individual because, to me, genuinely, it feels like a collective failure. In 2024, 13 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss without Salah, 2 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses with Salah. Look, I'm not going to push back on that. The only thing I'm going to push back on is this myth of people trying to tell us that it's everybody's fault but Salah's. That I won't stand for because it's a collective failure and he's part of it. The strikers aren't performing, said Stargirl. We should be playing a 4-4-2 and I thought that yesterday. We should have played Bobby Clark. He's a fighter. There was some decisions yesterday, Stargirl, that absolutely left me dumbfounded. Seeing Szoboszlai and Jones and no Gravenberch in the starting 11, I couldn't get over that. And I felt it was a very bold decision of Jurgen to take off Kanade for Kwanzaa. Because let's be honest, he doesn't need a rest. I think that was a big indication, along with the fullback substitutions as well, that we're underperforming in key areas. Elise in for Salah, he's going to be world class, said Aaron. My only concern there is the injuries with Olise. But now that we know Arne Slot is most likely coming in, and systematically we're probably going to play some variant of what we do now, be it a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. And I'll be doing a video tomorrow giving you far more information on Arne Slot. But I do think now, yes, we're likely to see another winger come in. Next season, we need a big signing or we will fall off. I agree, Mr. Pixelated. Also, we could be looking at Isak now, which is good, said Heavy Metal D. Are we? I don't know about that. I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way, mate. I just said I don't know about it. There have been links in the last 24 hours for Arsenal and Manchester City to Bruno Guimaraes, who has a very interesting release clause that only lasts for 1 month. I think it's the first week of May to the first week of June or something like that. Actually, I think I have it here somewhere. Bear with me. Yeah, so Bruno Guimaraes. Fabrizio Romano said exclusive. Bruno Guimaraes release clause will be valid from the last week of May to the beginning of the last week of June. 100 million release clause is only valid for that month. In July or August, Newcastle would have total control of price and potential negotiations. Now, obviously, we're not linked really with Bruno Guimaraes, but it does seem like Arsenal could be dropping in for another 100 million midfielder. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Whatever we do with a new coach, be it Arne Slot, who it will be, or somebody else, John W. Henry needs to put his hand in his pocket and stop crying poor mouth and stop trying to get managers to only pull rabbits and miracles out of their backside. Yes, we want a coach that will improve players. Yes, we want a coach that will work with younger players. But we also want a goddamn owner that will realise he is the owner of one of the biggest clubs in world football and acts that way. So no more missing out on a defensive midfielder and coming in with an £18.5 million solution to a £100 million problem. John needs to put his hand in his pocket, and we as fans need to be vocal about this. The days of him getting away with it because Jurgen is at the club are over. We need to be vocal, and he needs to play his goddamn part as well, because FSG could be a reason for the failure of any next coach. So if they back this new coach, they need to do it properly. Not only with the coaches and the backroom staff that the next manager wants, but with the funds to compete. Because you can't go up against Manchester City, Arsenal, Manchester United unless you're willing to spend. Sometimes you have to break the bank. Sometimes you've got to pay what it takes to get talent. Stargirl said, sorry for my typos, my phone's playing up. All good, my friend, all good. Matt Graham said, Craig, what do you think will be a good summer? I still feel like we need to go in there and resolve the defensive midfield situation. And I don't feel comfortable rolling the dice on Bajcetic alone. I do want and hope that Bajcetic is part of the squad next season and he'll be a great option. But I think it is time to go out there now and bring in, if we can find one, a top-notch defensive midfielder. Another winger would be most likely as well. I can see Salah leaving in the summer, so we're probably going to have to find a replacement there. After that, at least one centre-back. Now that we know we're probably going to play with 4 at the back and not 3, I think a centre-back makes sense. With Joel Matip moving on, numerically we probably need to bring in another centre-back. Other than that, I don't know. Maybe look at a full-back, I'm not sure. But we're already talking 3-4 signings here and we haven't really got into the nitty-gritty of it yet. Come on, Arne, you'll never walk alone, said Kloppo. Thank you for that. Craig, the painful question. Do you think there's a slight chance we still go on to win it? No, mate. Look, I'm not telling anybody else how to feel. If you think there's a chance we can still win the league, have at it. But me, I can't. There's just nothing logical to tell me we can do it. You know, we lost at home to a poor Palace team after being beaten at home by a semi-decent Atalanta team. And then we go away to a relegation-threatened Everton and get, played off the park physically and beaten by 2-0. No. And then you see our challengers, Arsenal, Manchester City, both going and swatting teams away. Arsenal destroying Chelsea 5-0. And according to the chat, it was, 3-0 to City so far in that game? So, no. Nor do I believe we're going to be dragged back into a race with Aston Villa for 4th, by the way. I don't think we're going to go that way either. I think we finished 3rd, but there's 2 arguments here, right? There's those who say you'd have taken this at the start of the season. And that's a fair point. And you know what? In all honesty, probably would have. Probably would have taken this at the start of the season. What I wouldn't have taken is a quarter-final exit in the Europa League. But the league form, yes. But sometimes you need context, right? And the context comes in when we were in a position to go and win the league. And remember, we were in a position to challenge to go and win the league as we were getting back our big players from injury. It's only since they've come back that the wheels have fallen off. And I don't know why. I don't know if these players are underperforming and feel are untouchable. I don't know. But I know when we had a younger, hungrier team, we were grinding out results. And we had a lot more fight on the pitch. Harry Klein said, do we need a right back if we play 4-2-3-1, Trent in the DM? I wouldn't say we need a right back, no, because I think Conor Bradley could play that position. But you have to talk about cover there as well, because you couldn't just go into a season with Bradley as your only potential right back. So unless there's, I don't know, the idea that Gomez can cover at right back, or there's somebody else coming through the academy perhaps, I don't know. But I do think in a 4-2-3-1, it is the best chance we'd have to put Trent into midfield, because he wouldn't be on his own in there as a 1, because he's not a DM. But I could see him absolutely in a double pivot. I feel like the club needs someone like Florentino Perez to prioritise the club over the players, and somebody like Edwards is that person to do it. Edwards, sorry, one sec. I just have to turn my phone off because I don't want to be disturbed when I'm with you guys. Look, Michael Edwards is going to make decisions that not everybody will agree with. But I don't know if I'm deluded here, but I have every belief in Michael Edwards. I do. I have every belief in his method. So I back that we'll get this right. I back that he'll bring in the right calibre of players. And I really, really, really am warming to the coach. The more I've learned about Arne Slot over these last 48 hours, the more I can see why he is the guy. You know, if you look at stylistically how he plays, if you look at even his pathway to where he is as a manager, you look at the way he can handle the media, the relationship that he builds with his players, there's a lot there to understand. And there was a really interesting podcast on Sky Sports where Melissa Reddy was speaking to, I think, Adam Bate, who's one of the writers on Sky, and another journalist. And they were making some really good points about how all of us, and they did include themselves in it, almost just overlooked. Like, we assumed it was going to be a Xabi Alonso, or we assumed Ruben Amorim. But honestly, when you look at the data behind Arne Slot, you can see why actually he probably is a very good contender. Yes, there's the Eredivisie point. You know, is that a big jump? That's fair enough. But the highest pressing or counter pressing in the final third in all of Europe's top 5 or 6 leagues was done by Feyenoord. And second on that list was Liverpool. So there's lots of things that I'm starting to see that I can see where Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are looking at Arne Slot, and I can see why he is seemingly going to be the guy. And also, I got to be honest about this as well. I love his infectious attitude about wanting the job. I love how openly glowing and positive he is about wanting to come in and manage Liverpool. That goes a long way with me. And then, of course, his coaching ability is going to come into play, but he really looks like he's bang up for it, and I like that. If we make a profit, FSG consider it a successful season. It's a club to us, it's a business to them. Yes, I agree, Owen, but we do have the ability as a fan base, which has been shown before, to give them a reminder not to take people for granted, not to take the support for granted, not to take what is so special about Anfield and its fans for granted. So FSG, they can get a little reminder as well. They can't cheap out here. All of us, no matter what we think of them, we all agree that Jurgen Klopp has probably papered over a lot of the cracks for FSG over the last few years. Right now, they're bringing in a new coach, so they don't have the Jurgen magic now. And yes, Arne Slot could be a great coach, but they need to pony up the money. They need to back the gaffer. So if there's any polls that you guys think would be great for us to kick off with tonight, actually the first one, I'm going to just ask a really simple question. And by the way, thank you for coming in and joining me tonight. There's 2,660 people in the chat, which is absolutely amazing on a Thursday night for a news stream. So thank you so much for coming in and joining us. One sec. I'm just going to ask a simple question first. Are you happy with Arne Slot if he's the next manager? It's a simple yes or no one. I'll leave the poll running for a while while we continue to chat. Who's going to take over Anfield Agenda when you sign the deal? It's in my contract that I can do both, mate. You know, I can manage Liverpool and I can be the king of Anfield Agenda. Mahmood said, did my super chat go through? Mahmood, my friend, most probably, and there's every chance I missed it, bro, so bear with me and I will check it. Abdullah said, I feel like the club needs a Florentino Perez. We've done that one. 1 sec. No, I'm not seeing it, Mahmood. I'm not seeing it, bro. Let me just check the back end in case it went through there, mate. 1 second. Sorry, folks. Just want to check this for Mahmood because I hate people wasting their money. Yeah, it is there, mate. Let me just grab it from the back end here for you and I'll read it out. And thank you for your support, Mahmood. Craig, how you doing? Would you prefer to win the league? For me, I want City to win it. I can't stand the arrogance of their fan base. I guarantee if Arsenal win it, they will force the Arteta-Klopp argument. So, honestly, Mahmood, I am... 1 second. I want Arsenal to win it over Manchester City. Like, I get what you're saying. I get what you're talking about their fans. I get what you're talking about. It's going to be difficult on social media. But I've got respect for them. I've got respect for... I've got Everton fans saying you lost the league at Goodison Park. I can't deny that, mate. You know, did you spam it or something? But we did. You're right. You won the game fair and square. I've got no comeback for it. I'm somebody that's always happy to put my hands up and acknowledge an opponent. So yes, mate, you beat us fair and square. You beat us on the night. You outworked us. And we may not have necessarily lost the league at Goodison, but we certainly went a long way to throwing it away at Goodison. Someone said the Dutch Brendan Rodgers. Yeah, you don't know that. To be fair, I mean, you're trying to be edgy with your comment or whatever, but you've no idea. You probably know about as much about Arne Slot as I did, which is very little. Right, what else we got? Hello, Craig. If Darwin is sold, who do you bring in? Should we keep him? The Darwin question I'm going to put to a poll, Santino, in a little while, because I don't think it's one of those questions that I have any right to answer. Would I keep him? I mean, you've asked me directly, so I feel like I owe you an answer. I feel like the answer is that I would keep him if we brought in another striker. I feel like that's the fairest answer I can give. You know, if we were to go and bring in somebody else, yes, I think it's worth keeping him around. Part of my decision would be based off the fact that I think we'd lose a fortune if we moved him on. But, you know, we can see what he's capable of. But how long do we keep talking about what he's capable of? You know, how long is reasonable to keep giving anybody, the benefit of the doubt? Leon said, don't forget that Feyenoord is the Liverpool of the Netherlands. Ajax is the Man United. Feyenoord is raw, working class, always a bit behind on the success. Hardcore supporters. That's part of why he fits too. Look, and Jurgen Klopp, thank you, bud, for gifting 10 Anfield Agenda memberships. That's incredibly kind of you, sir. Thank you. Look, I can't lie. I'm buzzing about the idea of Arne Klopp. And Arne Klopp, I keep saying it. That's the second time. I'm buzzing about the idea of Arne Slot. But I have no reason. You know, I have no reason to think he's going to be amazing, but I do. I do think he's going to be amazing. Maybe that's more want than based off any type of rationale. But I've already convinced myself he's the greatest manager in the history of European football, and he's the reincarnation of Johan Cruyff. I've already talked myself into that. Sound of Silence said Darwin will not succeed. We need another Jota, only with less injuries. What do I think of Stuttgart? They're having an incredible season. For them to go from, you know, fighting relegation up into getting into a Champions League spot, you know, full credit to them. My only concern with Slot is, can he do it in the Prem? It's a valid concern, IFI must. It is a valid concern. Now, what I don't agree with is the comparisons between Slot and Ten Hag. And I'll tell you why I don't agree with those. Ten Hag had a far better budget, and the expectation at Ajax is to win the league title. Ajax have a budget every year, a wage budget of 40 million euro. PSV Eindhoven have a wage budget every year of 30 million euro, and Feyenoord have a wage budget of 25 million euro. So there is a gulf in what you're able to do at a club like Feyenoord or PSV compared to Ajax. So I don't think it's fair to compare Arne Slot to Ten Hag, because he's had less ability to go out into the market, less ability to bring in higher caliber players. He's had to coach through. And also, the system at Ajax, the youth system, is world renowned for bringing through talent. So I think it's not fair to compare the two. I think they are their own men, they are their own characters, and with Arne Slot, he seems to have a far better grasp of how to deal with the media than Erik Ten Hag. He seems to be far more affable than Erik Ten Hag. So that's my quick take on it, but I just don't like the comparisons. Two Dutch managers, they're both bald, so therefore they're the same. They're not. Abdullah, 1 second, bro. I'll get to your comment now. Harry Klein, I'm going to get to yours as well. I hate missing the super chat. So, hi Craig, great channel, but I was thinking today, how would City being charged affect Klopp and Pep's legacy? To be honest, I think Pep's overrated. Happy with Slot. I'm going to be honest with you on this question. I don't know if Manchester City were found guilty, how that changes Jurgen's legacy in any way, shape or form, because I think Jurgen's legacy with us fans, us Liverpool fans, because I don't care what other people think of Jurgen Klopp. Don't care. Liverpool fans are my only concern. And his legacy is secure with us for obvious reasons. Pep Guardiola, I'm not ever going to deny his ability as a coach. But I have to say, I have lost a lot of respect for him over his defence of Manchester City. It's just my opinion. And for me, if Manchester City get found guilty, then I think it absolutely should tend Pep's legacy at Manchester City. Not what he did at Bayern Munich, not what he did at Barcelona, what he's done at Manchester City. He's put together a great side, but I think people often just think of the here and now and not how did Manchester City get into this position to be able to attract and do what they've done. They did it by overspending and, according to accusations, paying some sponsorships in iffy ways and paying some of their managers in different forms of payment that aren't necessarily all clear-cut, shall we say. So, yes, it will impact his legacy, and it should impact the legacy, because if they're proven to have done these 115 charges, it is the biggest case of cheating I've ever seen in English football. So that's the fairest I can be about it. Now, Abdullah, I do want to get back to your super chat, my friend. I've become very warm to Slot as our manager, though my biggest worry is our solidity at the back, and I hope he fixes that mess and convinced Ali 1 to continue with LFC and keep our strong attack. So one good thing about Arne Slot's team is they are very good defensively. They switch from a system where in the 4-2-3-1, obviously the fullbacks get forward, but when defending, one of the double pivot midfielders slips back in to make it a back five, then they go defending to a 5-4-1, which makes it far more compact and far more difficult for opposition teams to break through. Loads of great videos. Panenka TV, I think they're called. I watched one of their videos on Arne Slot situation earlier on. Really informative, very much worth a watch if you get a chance. But I'm still learning. But I do get the understanding that he's better defensively than we are, which isn't going to be very hard at the moment. Do you think that the Darwin decision was the reason... who's the reason let in the first place? Is the reason Edwards left? Is that what you're asking for? I don't know. I do agree with Carragher. I feel like there was a disagreement behind the scenes between Klopp and Edwards over the vision of how the club should be run or how players should be signed, negotiated, extended. And I've always been a believer in it's better to get rid of somebody a year too soon than a year too late. So that's why I've always been open with the contractual situation of Mohamed Salah and his age to moving him on. Because I'd rather we do it now than in a year's time or 2 years' time if he extends when he's fallen off. I just think it's the right time. And I think that's what Michael Edwards thinks. I feel like there was that period where, you know, your James Milners, your Jordan Hendersons, those type of players were being given extensions that it feels like Michael Edwards wasn't happy to give, but Jurgen wanted to reward them for their leadership abilities and for what they bring to the dressing room. But on the pitch, I don't think the metrics backed up what is potentially an unquantifiable thing, right? You know, how can you quantify leadership in the dressing room with numbers? I don't know if you can do it. Only concern is the higher pressure for Slot at Liverpool. Yeah, but he doesn't seem like a shrinking violet, Ben. You know, we always knew that we were going to need a manager who isn't overawed or daunted by coming in after Jurgen Klopp. Because it is a huge thing to do, right? To come into a football club after a figure as all-encompassing and as idolised as Jurgen Klopp is. But Slot will be aware of that, and he feels like and looks like he's up for the challenge. So quickly, my friends, if you haven't dropped a like, please do. We can get it up to 1,000 likes tonight, I'm sure. And if you haven't subscribed, just take 1 sec and hit that subscribe button. Right, more of your comments. I've got loads of news, by the way, I have to read through here. So I'm spending the first bit of the stream going through your comments, but I have loads of stuff to go back through my notes as well. A lot of players are going to be on the move in the summer. Yes, and what we have to remember as well is we're going to have a shortened summer now. Because we've got the end of the season, and then you've got players going straight into international competitions via the Euros, the Copa America, and late back. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult to get transfer business done. The sooner we can get it done, the better. MC 2003 says, "Hello, Craig." Hello, sir. "What do you think is the main reason that we completely blown our chances to win the league?" Sorry if you've already answered it. Do you know what, mate? I truly don't know. Like, I think there is something to the fact we got players back, and whether those players were put back into the team before perhaps they were up to speed because their names were Trent Alexander-Arnold or Mohamed Salah, and we know what they're capable of. But what we can't deny is there was more of a spirit there when we had your Connor Bradleys, your Jayden Dans in the Cup as an example. And it hasn't been lost on me that we've fallen away when we've started to get these big players back. But I can forgive a lot of things, but I can't forgive a lack of fight in a team. And that team last night were just feeble against that Everton team and allowed Everton to dictate how the game went, the momentum of the game, the stop-start nature of the game, giving them silly set pieces. Anybody could have told you going to Goodison Park last night. No stupid corners, no stupid free kicks, no stupid opportunities for Everton to get set pieces in. And on set pieces, make sure you're switched on, win your individual battles, and don't give them space. And I still to this day do not know, well, to this day is only a day later, I still to this point do not know how on earth Dominic Calvert-Lewin had that space to win a header. And I don't know if it was that one or the first one, that McAllister somehow ended up marking him. Players ran out of energy. I don't know if that's the case, Farad, because we've made plenty of changes this season. And, you know, Trent, Salah, Jota, those players coming back from injury shouldn't really be running out of energy. Now, if they did run out of energy, I guess that's a question to ask about the nutrition. That's a question to ask about the training methods, the intensity. But we've looked like a shadow of ourselves recently. There's something from Ryan Babel that I wanted to speak to you guys about, actually, because it was quite interesting. Where is it gone? So much notes today. Is it this one? No. Where's the comment about Ryan Babel? Maybe Connor sent it to me. I'm sure we have this somewhere. Sorry, folks. Basically, I can summarise it for you. I don't have the notes in my hand on it. I thought I had this. Oh, yeah, here it is. So Ryan Babel sends warning over Arne Slot. But the warning is because of a different reason other than the coach. He said, apart from Klopp, I understand that at least 40 more people within the club are leaving, from kitchen people to staff and analysts. A trainer who comes in has to replace that, and that doesn't seem easy to me. Now, of course, I don't know the numbers behind who's departing the club with Jurgen Klopp, but if it is 40 people, that is quite a significant upheaval inside the club, and it will require some change. So yeah, we have to keep that in mind as well. And this again is where FSG need to make sure they put the right people in. Trent just stood there and watched like usual. He's a shit defender, said Ty Carr. Craig, be honest, would you take Unai Emery? It wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't be against that appointment either. You know, I think his calibre speaks for itself. And it didn't work out with Arsenal, but I don't know what the reasons were there, whether it was behind the scenes or something else. He's gone into Villa, shown what a great coach he is. We know his pedigree in European competitions, but he's Aston Villa's manager, and he'll be staying on at Aston Villa. He just signed a new deal. But I have to say, yes, I have an awful lot of admiration for him as a coach. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you, Alan. We owe a lot to Klopp, but feel many of our players have let him down this season. Will, I could not agree more. I couldn't agree more with you, mate. And that's what angers me. It killed me to see Klopp's interview last night. It killed me to see it. It killed me. He was broken, hurting, and I don't like it. I don't. It hurts, because this should not be how Klopp's time ends. This is not what he deserves. And it is down to the players. Like, Klopp can pick the team and we can talk about whether he should pick this player or that player. That's absolutely credible and fine. But ultimately, it seems like whatever team he puts out now is letting him down. And they talk a big game on social media and in interviews, but I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them talking it. Let's talk more fight on the pitch. Do your talking on the pitch. Yes, I get Verge's asked questions and all, but all this CNN interview with Trent talking about quadruples and all this other stuff, just focus. Just get your head down and show that you want to send the manager off with a positive goodbye. You know, talk is cheap. They need to go out there and fight for the shirt, fight for the manager. And if they want to thank him and respect him for the job he's done at the club, they're not going about it on the pitch. 4-0 now to Manchester City. My God. Thank God I didn't have to watch that. So, Connoisseur 101. Couple of things about you, mate. Firstly, you've misspelled badly. And secondly, I just think that's just a stupid, lazy arse comparison, like I said earlier on about somebody else. So, I'm not going to throw you out of the chat for it, but you can have a little time out and learn to spell sloth properly. He's not sloth. We're not bringing in a marsupial creature from the trees. Like, we're bringing in Arne Slot. There's no H at the end of it. Right, some more news stuff. So there's been lots of chatter about Luis Guilherme. You may have seen this doing the rounds on social media. First of all, something came in from Jorge Nicola that said, Liverpool have made an offer of €20 million for Palmeiras winger Luis Guilherme, which has been rejected. The Brazilian club are in no rush and feel they can get closer to 50 million. Now, this has been, I guess you can say, denied by Fabrizio Romano to some extent. Fabrizio Romano was speaking about the same situation, and he said, no bid from Liverpool for Luis Guilherme, but a player that they do continue to scout. I don't watch Palmeiras, so I don't know too much about Luis Guilherme, but I do know that we have been keeping a strong eye on South American football market, so it would make sense. You know, we've seen lots of links to Liverpool and players coming out of Argentina and Brazil, so if anybody in the chat does know about Luis Guilherme or has any input, please do let us know. What's this one? They have been shocking, but most of our forwards have been lacking and missing, and yes, it costed everything. Right, so let's end this first poll and we'll get to the Darwin poll. So I asked you guys, are you happy with Slot? And 72% say yes, 28% say no. Thank you very much for everyone that voted there. Really do. It is great to get a consensus on these things, so I appreciate everyone that voted there. Thank you. So the next poll that you guys want me to do is about Darwin Nunez' future. So I'm going to ask, should we sell Darwin Nunez? And the answer will be just a yes or no one. Right, I will leave that with you guys to vote on. We'll continue on with the stream for a while. We'll leave that running in the background. Am I excited for Slot Ball? I have to say I am, Smooth Operator. You know, I'm again not going to profess to be in any way an expert on Arne Slot, but the more I've looked in, the more I've watched, the more I've read, yeah, it feels like we're going to get an exciting brand of football. It feels like we're going to get a coach who really, really wants to be here. And I don't know if it'll work out or not. I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, 100% we're going to win stuff with them. But I know we're going to enjoy the football. I know we're going to enjoy listening to him in interviews. And I believe, and I've always trusted the process that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are going with. And I think if they single out him as the man, then let's get behind him. If Salah, Nunez and Diaz get sold, who do you want to replace them? I think that's too much change for one window in an attacking area, to be honest with you, Adam. I don't think you can look to sell the three of those in one window. Two of them, for various reasons, is possible. The Salah contract situation, of course, has to be resolved, and that may end up in a sale. I think the only way Diaz leaves is if Barcelona somehow come up with an offer or money that turn his head and he wants to go. I don't think Liverpool are going to be looking to sell Diaz, and nor do I think we should. Now, I will say I don't like having people at the club who don't want to be here, but you know, his performances, I think he's a fighter. You can talk about end product, and I think we can improve with Diaz there, but I think he's performed recently. You know, a lot of misfiring in front of the goal from all of the forwards, but the work rate and the effort and the honesty has been there for Diaz for me. So who would I replace them with? Difficult question. I think I like the idea of looking in the Premier League for a winger. So Elise would be great if you can get past the injuries. I don't know enough about Bakayoko to say if he'd be good enough or not, because I don't watch very much Eredivisie. So Nico Williams, don't know if you'll get him at a Bilbao. Don't know how he'd work outside of an environment with his brother there and that he's comfortable in. So probably be a bit of a risk there. Pedro Neto I've always really liked, but his injuries have been horrendous, and apparently Wolves are going to look for 80 million plus if they sell him. I don't know what other realistic young hungry forwards we could look to bring in. Yeah, so probably Elise is probably somewhere near the top of that list, but I'm sure there are players in Europe that I just don't know about who would fit the mould. Okay. Gary, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, Gary. Thank you, mate, for joining up. Adam Brown said, I've done that one already. Sorry, Adam. If Darwin Nunez and Mohamed Salah and Diaz got sold, who would I replace them with? Give us some of your suggestions, who you guys would replace them with. Isak and Palmer, I mean, I can absolutely understand why you'd say them, but there's no way we're getting Cole Palmer from Chelsea. I don't know what the story is with Isak. I feel like potentially Newcastle could sell him, but from the stories doing the rounds about the contract situation with Bruno Guimaraes, it feels like maybe Newcastle are preparing to listen to offers for him. Could be wrong on that one. I do like Isak though. I do. I can absolutely see why a lot of you would say Isak. Have you seen the video of Arne Slot winding up Diego Simeone and Simeone pushing him and Slot laughing at him? Yes, I did. Oh God, I did. That's one of the reasons I like him. I do love a shithouse, as you know. Mohamed Kudus is a good shout as well. Slasher, I wouldn't say no to him. I can understand why somebody would suggest him. Ollie Watkins, I just feel is unrealistic, Gary. I don't think Aston Villa, especially if they get into the Champions League, are going to look to sell Ollie Watkins. Would I take Solanke? No. I think Solanke is a certain type of club player, and he's had a great season with Bournemouth, but I don't like going back to players we've already had. With one exception, Robbie Fowler. I loved when Rafa brought him back. Rafa Leao, I feel like, is unrealistic for a couple of reasons, Padraig. One, the money AC Milan would want. And two, he looks settled there. He's a great player, though, Rafa Leao. Here's one for you that I'd like to ask you. In this crazy, mad world of ours, and this is just a hypothetical, and I'll do it as the next poll, so just remind me to do another poll in a few minutes when we leave this one running in the background. Abdullah, welcome my friend to Anfield Agenda FC, appreciate you. Sane, too injury prone, too old, and too disruptive would be my next thing about Sane. But I can't lie, when he was at, where was he at? Schalke. Before he went to Manchester City, I was praying we signed Leroy Sané. Mbeumo would do very well at Liverpool. I think he would. I think that, that's one of the unsexy names perhaps, but there's a lot to appreciate about Mbeumo. He's a very hard worker. I can see for the right price, I think that it's interesting. Would I prefer Slot or Amarim? So, would I prefer Slot or Amarim? It's a difficult question for me to be objective on because I was all in on Ruben Amarim after Xabi Alonso, and I still think he's a cracking coach. But I have to admit, whether it's because I want to be swayed or because he's likely to be the next coach, everything that I found out in the last 48 hours about why Arne Slot is becoming the leading contender and could even be announced before the weekend, by the way. I have to say right now, seeing as both are still on the table as an option if Liverpool wanted to, I think Arne Slot, it makes sense. But I do like Ruben Amorim as a coach, so I'm going to go with the most likely one, which is Slot. So I'm just going to throw my support behind him. Where was... Interesting one here from Sky Sports News that said Mohamed Salah did not want to leave Liverpool last summer. SPL clubs remain interested, but only if Salah wants to move. I'm glad that he didn't want to move last summer, by the way. Would I have taken the money from last summer? I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is because, one, he was still delivering, but also we didn't know that Jurgen Klopp was going to be departing. So last summer, I think it was the right decision for him to stay. This summer, though, I'm of a very different mindset. But I could have understood if there was a crazy offer that Liverpool were given last summer and they accepted it. Like, if Michael Edwards was at the club and 150 million came in last summer, I think we may have seen a different scenario. Ivan Toney, Liverpool fan as well. I'm going to be really blunt about this. I don't think Ivan Toney's worth the £250,000 a week that has been reported that he will ask for as a wage wherever he goes next. I don't think he's a £250,000 a week striker. And also, what age is he? I feel like he's not like 23 or 24, probably 26? Ivan Toney, 27? Osimhen is close to PSG, said Ellie Elf Werewolf, which tells me everything I need to know about Victor Osimhen. For me, and look, I'm open to be called whatever on this, but I think anybody who goes to PSG is just a mercenary. Honestly, I do. Somerville, that's an interesting one, Harry. Yes. Somerville from Leeds is somebody who I probably should have mentioned earlier, but I just didn't remember. Keep an eye on him. That is a name that has definitely been mentioned. So what? He's 27 or 28, and I think that's too old to put in the type of money that it would take to get Ivan Toney. No, I wouldn't feel comfortable spending that much money on somebody at 27, 28 years of age. 28 particularly, no. Look, again, 28 is not near retirement age, but when you're investing as much as it would probably cost to get Ivan Toney, I feel like you would be better off looking towards somebody in their early 20s. Adeyemi is an interesting one. King Pop as well. Archie Gray is... Look, there's going to be a battle for his signature at some point whenever he decides the right time to leave Leeds is. I don't know if it'll be this summer or not. I don't know if it'll be depending on whether Leeds come up out of the Championship or not, but he is another talent that you'll see many clubs trying to sign. Yeah, Somerville is really on the list, Ben. You know, he has been looked at without a doubt. Now, I don't know if he'll follow through, or I don't know if there's a serious interest in Somerville, but he has been linked and he has been mentioned as being somebody Liverpool have scouted. Leon Bailey's an interesting one, but I don't think people are listening to me when I talk about Villa not selling players. You know, Villa's owners are wealthier than our owners, and they're going to be in the Champions League. There's no reason for them to want to sell or the players to want to leave. You know, Bailey's made his name because he was doing well in the Bundesliga, but he also has some injury concerns as well, Leon Bailey. I think Mukoko, Nico Williams and Tell potentially, said Adam Brown. Thank you for your suggestions, mate. Appreciate it. Troy said, Amarim plan backfired. You don't try and scare FSG. He had snappy answers in the press conference about Liverpool. I don't know if the case was that that Michael Edwards didn't appreciate Amarim's little using West Ham as a make-way. I have no idea. Or using West Ham as a ploy. I don't know if that was the case or not. But again, listen to the language Melissa already used in her podcast on Sky earlier. The club only ever admitted that Amarim was on the list, but never a favourite. So, you know, we all assume these things based off what we're seeing in the media, what journalists are saying, what we feel emotionally as well. But the club have been very, very quiet on the whole process. And only in the last couple of days, as Melissa already said, the language with the club have used around Arne Slot have changed into a more clear-cut language. Craig, say louder, Bowley out. I'm not going to give you the last three of the last four words. I'll give you the respect, mate, but you're not getting the other words out of me. Look, Bowley's is a weird fella. I don't like anybody who comes in with the arrogance that he's looked to show towards the Premier League and football based off very little understanding of what it actually entails. Craig, I asked about Santiago Jimenez, Feyenoord striker, over 50 goal contributions in 2 seasons, 23-year-old and Mexican. Well, look, if there's anybody that's going to know about him, mate, it's going to be potentially the incumbent manager. I know absolutely nothing about him, but it is a big jump. It's a big jump up to the Premier League from the Eredivisie. It's been done successfully before, but it's also like Suarez as an example, from Ajax to us, brilliant, but there's also been some failures. So I trust the Arne Slot because he'd know far more about him. Right, should we sell Darwin? 59% of you guys with almost 1,500 votes, 59% of people said yes, they would sell Darwin. Right, I had another poll in my head that I was going to ask. I can't remember now what it was. What was I going to ask this poll on? No, can't remember. So, any other polls you'd like me to throw up, let me know. I can't remember what the poll was, damn. I still don't know what I do with Darwin. Honestly, I'm on the fence. I don't know the answer there. Yeah, I don't know the answer. And I don't want to criticise other people's opinions of it. Right, do hit the like button if you haven't done so already, my friends. We're going to stay on for another 45 minutes or so. Great to have you with us. And again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. Like 59% backstabbers. Not necessarily, mate. Maybe 59% are just fed up with the frustration and wastefulness. Nothing to do with backstabbing. It's a valid opinion, like yours would be if you want to keep them. I don't know if anybody's mentioned Eli Y from Lons, 21 years of age, highly rated forward, but I don't know if he would fit in the Premier League. I don't know anything about him. So I'm going to have to bow out with that conversation, Stargirl. There's no need to do a Salah poll, by the way. I don't need to do a Salah poll. We've done that twice and I know the result. The result was without a hesitation, it was like 72% sell him. So I don't think I need to do the Salah poll because I think I know the answer is people would say sell him. And I think it's the correct answer. Let me just scroll through my notes really quick till I see if I can figure out. Oh, by the way, Pedro Sepulveda is still clinging on to this idea about Ruben Amorim. And let me read you out what he's posted. He said, Liverpool informed Ruben Amorim's agent that they will not pay £10 million per year net. And the Portuguese coach doesn't want to accept less than that. The deal can collapse. The next days will be decisive. Look, he said no chance to go to West Ham. What I'll say is he shouldn't be getting that wages because he ain't worth those wages. So I would very much agree that Liverpool don't give him £10 million a year net. But I don't believe that that's the case. I don't believe that. I think Pedro Sepulveda is looking to save a bit of face there. Because he did go all in on the Amorim stuff. I just don't believe that, to be honest with you. Poll on who should be captain as Virgil's doing a terrible job at it. I think a fairer way to start that would be to just ask the question about Virgil. You know, before we go into talking about a replacement, I think the fairer question to ask is, should Virg still be the captain? Right, so we'll start with that poll. Should VVD still be the captain? Again, you guys can have your say on it. My opinion on it is quite well known. Joke of a question. Again, I don't deal well with that type of response. If you think it's a joke of a question, that is absolutely your right, but it's also my right to ask you why you think it's a joke of a question. So I've put it to the chat. We'll get a consensus on it and we'll talk about the result. But for me, like I've said for a while, I think Van Dijk's an incredible centre-back, but I think he's a lousy captain. That's my opinion. I'm not saying mine's valid and yours isn't. But, you know, I don't like people who just throw this type of crap into the chat. It doesn't add anything. Let us know why you think it's a silly poll, and then we can talk it through. Because I think the results will show that people aren't happy with the captaincy. Craig, I'm all in for the pivot between Maka and Stefan. I love the idea of a double pivot Whitehammer, you know, and I love the idea of Trent being involved in that double pivot as well. I'm very nervous, though, about these contract negotiations because we've got to get these sorted soon. 3 players are out of contract in a year. 3 very, very big players in Liverpool's recent history in Trent, Salah and Virg. And they have to be resolved one way or the other. David Ornstein said Ruben Amorim was never considered to be the internal favourite to become Liverpool's next manager. So, there we go. Robbo will be a good captain, said Afan. Do we not believe in Endo anymore? I wouldn't say that I don't believe in Endo. I definitely think, I've seen enough of Endo to think he has a place in this squad. Absolutely. But I don't feel like we have a solution fully to the problem at defensive midfield. I think we could do with a little bit of extra competition there. But I certainly feel Endo is more than deserving of a place in the squad. What did you think of Henderson's first year as a captain? Honestly, Daniel, I don't remember. Now, I'm not trying to, pussy out of giving you an answer. I really don't remember what his first year as captain was, mate. Or as in what I felt back then. Carroll was saying on the overlap that he wanted Amorim over Slot. Yeah, I think, I didn't hear that, but I did hear Carragher have, I guess, a little bit of uncertainty over Slot. And look, it's understandable. I understand entirely. Like, Slot's only kind of come to the forefront to us publicly over the last 2 or 3 days. A lot of us have spent a lot of time, and I'm sure this includes Carragher, looking into Amorim and probably convincing ourselves of, we like this guy, and I get it. I can understand it. And I still think Ruben Amorim is a great coach. Will said we miss somebody like Hendo on the pitch. I think McAllister should have the armband. So again, I'm going to come to that post that I found earlier on that was on social media that that was on the Echo comment section that summarised how I felt exactly about the whole situation with our captain. And it was a guy called Jamesy who posted and said, Virgil is twice the player Hendo was, but he's nowhere near as good a captain. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, Van Dijk is no doubt an absolutely top-notch centre-back. I just don't like him as a captain. I've never liked him as a captain. I don't know, maybe I'm old school. I feel like his relaxed, languid, I'm never going to say the word lazy because I don't like that word. I feel like it's almost rubbed off on the rest of the team. Like, the captain, for me, should set the tone. Brian said, Craig, not sure if you saw the news that Liverpool's recruitment team wanted Nkunku, not Darwin, but Klopp overruled them. Interesting. So, for me, I've always liked Christopher Nkunku. I could see why Nkunku would fit in our team. But there is one thing about Christopher Nkunku that rubbed me up the wrong way, Brian. And that was when he said that Paris is the team of his heart and that he wants to go back to PSG someday. For me, that just felt like if we did sign or had have signed Christopher Nkunku, I'd have always been just waiting for PSG to come back in. If they indeed did come back in. So, mate, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong on that, but that would have been at the back of my mind. And Jamie Carragher was saying earlier on, like, in no uncertain terms, he feels like there was a fallout somewhere behind the scenes between Klopp and Edwards. Darren Beard said, our owners aren't going to fund us properly to get a good replacement in order to sell Nunez. Just look at the cheap option with Endo. And look, you're never going to hear me push back when somebody says about our owners not doing enough in the transfer market, mate. I feel like I've defended FSG too much lately for my liking because I very much am of the mindset that they are cheap and that they haven't done everything they can and that they've been getting away with it somewhat because of Jurgen. So, yeah, where's the money, John, is definitely going to be a phrase I'm going to be uttering a lot because I'm fed up of excuses. Whatever way we look at this, however we look at it, in the cold light of day, in what has been spoken about as a legacy, and we've had a manager that we may never see the likes of in our lifetime again, we haven't been given the tools for him to succeed as well as he could have. And my worst fear is coming true. I'm going to look back on Klopp's time at Liverpool and feel that we left trophies on the table. And that makes me very angry. Because I shouldn't feel that way. Because Jurgen worked miracles with what he had. And delivered us a league title. And delivered us a European Cup. But I can't help but feel another good signing or two. Another option along the way. Maybe we could have won one of those other European Cups. Maybe we could have shaded ahead of Manchester City again. So I look back angrily, not at what Jurgen did, because I feel like he did everything he could and is an idol of mine, but I never feel like the owners backed him enough. Never, ever, ever feel like the owners backed him enough. What's your opinion on Bernardo Silva wanting to leave City for Spain? That's been for a while. He's been wanting to move to Barcelona. Barcelona just never had the financial ability to make it happen. And yeah, there's been a lot of chatter recently that Bernardo Silva may get that move to Barcelona this summer. Jamrock said Liverpool left trophies on the table because of Klopp. Fair. Perhaps that's the case as well. You know, look, my admiration, Jamrock, and my love of Jurgen Klopp probably has seen me turn a blind eye to things that may not have turned a blind eye to with other managers. And I'm not saying he's been perfect, but the numbers don't lie either. The net spend we've had compared to other clubs, that tells its own tale. So, yes, Klopp sometimes is stubborn. Yes, sometimes maybe he has a happiness to work within the constraints that FSG had put down financially. And maybe he was okay with it. And I can't push back against that. But ultimately, I feel, mate, for me, overwhelmingly more positive stuff from Klopp than negative. We've been outclassed tactically in too many big games. Yes and no. Oh, big games. Sorry, you said big games, which is okay. Fair enough. Let me rehash this. Outdone tactically against Atalanta twice, definitely. Real Madrid on a couple of occasions, absolutely. And yeah, there have been times where I felt like he hasn't reacted quick enough. But there's also been times, ironically, when we were without Trent, Salah, Jota, I actually think tactically Klopp made some good changes during this period before we fell off. In this season I'm talking about. There's also the conversation to be had about the amount of trust and free reign that Linders had gotten to the point of he was basically taking the sessions and stuff as well. So I don't know how much of this was Jurgen, how much of it was a belief in Pep Linders, or if it's a mixture of all of it. Am I confident for Saturday? Well, how can I be? You know, being honest about it. How can you be confident going into a game where we've been terrible recently? So of West Ham, that's maybe one of the only things that's given me some confidence. But you seen in my preview, if you watched it, I went 2-1. You know, I don't really have much confidence in it, but I also don't want to think about us putting in another poor performance. So I think the result's going to come down to the team that Klopp puts out. And if he keeps continuing to do the same things with the same players that are letting him down, I expect the same outcomes. Craig, the captaincy ain't the issue. Again, Mohammed, with all due respect, I never said the captaincy was the issue. See, these are the type of things that wind me up, mate. I've said from the very start of this stream all the way through to this point that there's no one thing. There's no one thing that's the reason for the fall off. It's not the captaincy, it's not Salah, it's not Darwin, it's all of it. All of it combined. And some of that, in my opinion, comes down to leadership. Because a leader, a true leader, doesn't let this capitulation happen on the pitch. They tell one of the players to go down and get a bit of treatment or something so we can bring the team together, and they stop it. They stop the rot. That's, to me, the role of a leader. And I don't see that in Virgil. But I'm also not, and have never said that that is the only reason we've fallen off. We've fallen off for a lot of reasons. So we asked, should VVD still be our captain? 38% of people voted yes, and 62% of people feel that Virgil should not be the Liverpool captain anymore. Now, for what it's worth, I don't think he will have the captain's armband taken off him. And if Arne Slot comes in, I feel like he'll probably want to keep his national team captain as the Liverpool captain. I can only give you my opinion on it. That's why we do the polls. I'm not trying to ram my opinion down your throat. I'm just giving you my take on things. When are we going to sell Curtis Jones? I mean, he hasn't been very good. You know, he had a good spell, a good solid spell with us where I thought he was really important. But I've been very underwhelmed by himself and Szoboszlai in recent times. LEL Werewolf said, really happy that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes is at the club. They rarely make mistakes and we will be good. Odegaard and whoever City's captain ain't any better than VVD in my opinion. Fair enough, Mohammed. No problem with that, mate. I don't even know who City's captain is. Walker? I don't even know at this point who Man City's captain is, mate, because I hate them that much. I barely pay attention. Odegaard, I feel, leads by example in his performances, although he's tailed off a little bit this season. But I feel like Odegaard, I've seen enough of him grabbing games by the scruff of the neck to change them. But I respect your opinion. We are only 219 likes away from 1,000, folks. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. In his entire tenure, Craig, our biggest comeback against Barca was in spite of Klopp's tactics. Genie and Linders said that Genie ignored Klopp's instructions because he was pissed. I don't know what happened or what didn't happen. I'm glad we got the comeback, mate. But look, whatever we think of the Jurgen era or specific moments of it, one thing that is definite is it's coming to an end in 4 games time. So whether we want to look to the future or not, we have to, because Jurgen made his decision, took it out of the club's hands, and Jurgen decided that he wants to step away. So we have to look to the future at this point, and it's looking very much like Arne Slot will be announced soon. There's some talk that this announcement could even come in tomorrow or Saturday. I don't know. It looks like at this point it's down to the negotiation with Feyenoord to pay compensation. After that, I think we've got our guy. So I expect, almost without any doubt from what very credible people are saying, that Arne Slot will be the next Liverpool coach, and it will be soon. Are we selling Darwin? No idea. Haven't got a clue. David Ornstein said, what did David say on Salah? Or not on Salah, on Darwin, sorry. He said, I very much doubt Darwin Nunez will be leaving Liverpool, is what he said. So, according to CMD.com or CM.com, Lazio and Roma are looking to sign Joel Matip when he becomes a free agent in the summer. Barry, thank you so much, mate. Barry's popped in to brighten up our Thursday evening by gifting 50 Anfield Agenda memberships. Incredibly generous. Between yourself, mate, and Brian coming in earlier on as well with that $100 super chat. Thank you so much, guys. Look, I want to just say this again while we've got to go crowd in, just really quickly on the shows. The Dublin show is a problem. You know, the tickets just are not moving for it, and it is by a country mile the most expensive venue we're looking at and going to. So we're going to have a call with the promoters next week, but if there isn't an uptick in the Dublin show, there's every likelihood that it may have to be cancelled. The Belfast show is absolutely on track. those tickets are flying, doing really well. But if we don't, and look, I can't, if people don't want to come see us, that's absolutely no problem. I get that. But, we got to be honest about it as well. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep you guys up to date with it. But if you do want to come to the show, if we can see an upturn the next week, that'll be brilliant. If not, I will let you guys know as soon as possible when we know what's going on with the show. But Belfast is absolutely going ahead, 100%. It's probably going to be sold out as well, to be honest. Craig, when Matip's back, maybe we should bench VVD and Ibu. Matip won't be back before we depart ways. So Darwin should stay. He's been made the scapegoat for a lot of games. The whole team should be ashamed. So every player at some point this season has been made scapegoats. Whether you had Gakpo at one point, Salah, Darwin, we've had scapegoats and we'll have them again in the future. I can understand every side of the Darwin debate. I can understand people wanting to stay loyal and behind him, and I can understand people who've just lost their minds with the frustration. I still don't know where I'm at with it. I'm on the fence, if I'm being honest. Nessie said, in my opinion, Klopp's only downside is his favouritism. That and timing of substitutions are two things that I think I would, say I've occasionally disagreed with Klopp on. Why are we not talking about Diaz not contributing to goals and assists like Darwin has? Nobody will come after him for some reason. Diaz was one of those people who was scapegoated early on the season, but if you want my honest answer, Diaz is doing a lot more to positively impact games than Salah and Darwin. We're not getting enough end product from him, no question about that. But since after Christmas and the situation with his father and his mum was resolved, I feel like we've seen a lot more from him, especially defensively helping out as well. So I do agree with you. I want to see more goals and assists from him, but for me at least he's adding more to what we're doing. He's at least fighting and trying. That's my take on it. Someone said, why aren't we talking about Diaz? He's been very average. I think all of our forwards have been average. For me, I just think Diaz is at least working hard. I'm not even seeing the work rate from Mo like we used to see. And with Darwin, you're always going to get effort and graft from him, but it's just the chances. It's just those chances being missed are ludicrous, some of them. Benjamin said, are we excited for Slot? Did we have a poll, Craig? Also, I feel he's a better fit for us currently, but our football is our football consistent championship football, therefore we do need a system change. So a system change is great in theory, but you also have to have the personnel to play the change. And if you want the coach to come in and you want things to kind of at least start well, I think stylistically bringing in somebody who can work with the way we've currently played makes some sense. And we did do a poll, and yes, people were happy with Arne Slot. We asked, I don't know, remember if we asked Slot or Amarum, or are you happy with Slot? I think we did the are you happy with Slot, and people said yes. It was about, I want to say it was nearly 70-30. Dublin's too expensive of a city, Craig. That's why countdown to Cork. Look, mate, I've no problem. I'm an honest fella, and if people don't want to come see us in Dublin, whether it's because they don't want to see us or because it's in Dublin, I've no issues. It's all good. I just want to be honest with other people as well. If the Belfast show is flying, like that's doing really well, we expect that to be probably a sellout, and I expect the shows in Cardiff and Liverpool to do really well as well. But we had a struggle with the first Dublin show as well, in all honesty, and we were kind of talked into this one. It was never on our radar to do another Dublin show, but it just came around in conversations with the promoters, and we said we'd give it a bash. But if you've seen the numbers that were involved in putting the show on in Dublin, it's more than the other three combined. That's how expensive it is. So, as you said, it's expensive for people. I get it, because it's really expensive for us as well. Don't know about you, but I have a bit of trouble with the players saying they wanted to win the title for Klopp. I thought they wanted to win it for us, the supporters. I have a bit of trouble with both parts of that, mate. Firstly, talk's cheap, and the performances recently certainly haven't been ones that look like they're fighting to do everything for the manager. So, yes, they should want to do it for the fans as well, and for the badge, 100%. Stargirl said, after Maka, Gomez has been our most important player this season because he was able to fill in for the injured players. Agree. Gomez has been incredibly important for us this season. Without his versatility and being able to fill in, we would have been in a lot more trouble. Definitely. Right, we only need 107 more likes to get to 1,000. So if you haven't dropped a like, my friends, please do. And as well, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, don't be afraid of it. It'll definitely help us. Look where we are. 258,000 people is absolutely incredible. Thank you guys so much. Simon Jordan blames the players yesterday, not Klopp. I ultimately probably agree. There was he. We can talk about what team selection Klopp made and what we may have done differently, but Simon Jordan is right. Like, Klopp can't go out there and kick the balls for them. The players were the ones losing their battles. The players were the ones that were missing chances. The players were the ones who were letting Everton bully them. So, yeah, I think players absolutely have responsibility for what happened yesterday. I don't disagree. Do you play video games? I don't, mate, no. I don't have the time for it, and I've never really been a big gamer, to be fair. When's Liverpool show? August the 4th. Tickets go on sale May 20th, and it will be at the Hot Water Comedy Club, in Liverpool, at the new venue that they've built. And Cardiff is going on sale around the same time. We're going to sell the tickets for Cardiff ourselves, so we'll sell them directly. I think the Hot Water Comedy Club are taking care of the tickets for the show in Liverpool. Our front three have combined for 51 big chances missed this season. Just how? I know, mate, it's nuts, Phoenix Rising. There's been way too much wastefulness in front of the goal. Like, I said these stats earlier on that Sky Sports put up about Mo. And on one side, you have Mohamed Salah's contributions before January the 1st, and on the other side, you have since January the 1st. So the goals scored per game, Mo was averaging 0.72 goals per game before the AFCON. After the AFCON, he's averaging 0.53, so it's gone down a bit there. His assists, he had 0.41 before January the 1st. Now his assists are 0.18. His goal involvements were 1.14 per game. So he was averaging more than one goal and assist contribution per game. Now it's down to 0.71. Expected goals, he's actually increased what he should be scoring, which is, again, a worse stat for him because he had an XG of 0.74. And after the AFCON, he's had an XG of 0.82, but his goal scored has dropped down to 0.53. And again, another damning stat is he used to have 1.7 shots per game before January the 1st, and now he's averaging just under 2.5 shots on target a game, and again, with lesser goals. So he's having more shots on target, but he's scoring lesser goals and contributing lesser with regards to assists. Now, of course, he's not the only one. I only bring that up because I happened to stumble across that on the Sky app. And if I had a similar one for Darwin, absolutely I would do it, and same for Diaz. Do I think Bajcetic will make it? So if we agree that he can get past the injury stuff, then yes, 100% I think Bajcetic will make it. He's I really like Stefan Bajcetic. When you look into his background and his father bringing him through and keeping him with a level head, I like a lot about Stefan Bajcetic, and it's such a shame that we didn't have him for this season, but I think he's going to be a great player. I love joining into these streams. It's a bright spot in my day. Keep up the great work, mate, from Squeaky Clean. Thank you. It's the same for me, mate. I've been pretty frustrated all day with, again, what we seen last night. And to come on here and talk things through with everybody and you know, gauge everyone's opinions on stuff, it's brilliant. I love our community so much. And normally I say to you guys that I sit down at the end of every season with my family and we have a discussion about next year, do I carry on or whatnot. That discussion isn't being had this year because we all agree the channel's in a great place, the community is full of amazing people, and I can't but look forward to the future. So yeah, I hope to be, you know, I know what we're working on behind the scenes with the channel. I know what we're going to be able to bring to watch-alongs and shows in the future. More interactivity, more technical stuff. I'm so excited. Like, I still feel like I'm living somebody else's life. To be able to come on here and do this for a living, to talk to people about the club that I love, such wonderful, kind-hearted people, and share our passion. We might not always agree, but ultimately, I love what we do. I love that I have this outlet, and I love you guys for coming in here and sharing it with me and allowing me to live this dream. So yeah, still just doesn't feel like my life, you know. I feel like I'm living someone else's life. Have I ever been to the Liverpool Irish Centre? I haven't, Jason, but what I did see was in the Museum of Liverpool when we were over there, there was a section in the museum dedicated to obviously the immigration from Ireland and China as well, actually. Really good visit if you get a chance to go to Liverpool to visit the museum. But no, I haven't been to the Irish Liverpool Centre itself. What do you think of Fabio at Hull City? I'm intrigued to see what happens with him because, you know, he's done very well since he's gone on loan to Hull City. So has Tyler Morton. I don't know what the future has for him either. Under Amarim, I thought there was probably a lot more of the likelihood that we'd see Carvalho come in and get an opportunity, but I've no idea what to expect with Slot. So I think it's certainly been a good move for Carvalho. He's certainly not done him any harm. We love you, Craig, and you inspired me to do the same, and I know you're definitely inspiring others too. Thank you, mate. Wow, Brian with a $299 super chat, you absolute lunatic. You're gonna make me cry, Brian. Thank you, mate. That's incredibly kind of you. I feel like Brian should be the sponsor of the Brian and Barry should be the sponsor of these streams, man. That's incredibly generous. Thank you. That means a lot, Brian. Thank you so much. Who's the one realistic attacker you would want? Isak. I don't know how realistic that is, but I could see him in our system. Kudus is another one I could see. I'd always prefer to look Premier League wise if we could, because we've got some experience of it. Chiesa might be worth a conversation. Never been somebody who's been overly blown away by Victor Osimhen. Vlahovic isn't the type of striker I think that would fit well for us. Yeah, I think that's probably it. But I'm sure I've missed probably 10 great strikers that I just don't know enough about. I want Nusa, a big talent left winger, said Frankie. Thank you, mate. And again, Brian, I can't let this go without saying thank you again, mate, for that. Absolute, that's $400 worth of super chats, mate. That's amazing. Thank you. Alonso doing wonders at Leverkusen, and it breaks my heart he's not coming to Liverpool. Yeah, same with me, but look, I respect that he's staying at Leverkusen and feels like he wants to carry on with that team. Speaks to the calibre and the integrity of the man as well. Do I think Mateta is a good option? No. No, I don't. No. Right, we've got 13 more minutes on tonight's stream, so any more questions that you want to throw in, please do. Just a reminder, tomorrow there will be no live content. It's our day off. Myself and Connor have been working really hard this week. Ben's been away on a very well-deserved vacation, so myself and Connor have been flat out, so we're going to take tomorrow as a day off. I will record a video. I'm putting together a video, the first of 2 videos about Arne Slot. The first one is going to be more about him as a person, my own opinions, what I think he could bring to the team in other ways, and then we're going to do more of a tactical one with some graphics and more input next week when we've got a full team back. But I will record something tomorrow on Arne Slot. And Barry, thank you, mate, as well. Barry's popped in before we finished up with 50 memberships as well. Wow. Unbelievable, lads. Thank you so much. I love that. I love it. I love it so much, mate. Thank you. What a day. Wow. Thank you, Barry and Brian and everybody else. And to everyone that got the memberships, enjoy. We're going to look to add more perks to memberships as well moving forward. As we do appreciate how many people we have in our membership community as well. It means a lot to us. Do you think Canade is at his best, is better than Saliba? I don't really like to compare players because, you know, Saliba's Arsenal's boy, Ibu's ours, and at his best, Ibu's brilliant. And I've been at a loss to figure out why he hasn't been himself recently, and I don't know why, but I know that he's better than he's showing, and I know he's already shown us that he can be better than he's showing, and I truly don't know why, but he has, to me anyway, he just hasn't, he's looked nowhere near himself recently. What does imminent mean? It means any moment. It means very soon. Yeah. And look, it will be Arne Slot. At this point, I don't think it's even up for a doubt that he's the next manager. He is going to be the next manager. It's just the final details are being sorted out now. The compensation package with Feyenoord has been discussed. And look, Arne Slot himself has spoken, so you don't even have to listen to my words. Before his game tonight, he was asked by ESPN about the links, and he said, the clubs are negotiating. I'm waiting to see what will come out of it. It'll be no secret that I would like to go to Liverpool. Now I'm waiting for the clubs to reach an agreement. I have every confidence to that. So it's happening, mate, at this point. Someone said it's the wrong choice. Look, I'm not going to say you're right or I'm wrong, or you're wrong and I'm right. Every choice is a risk at this point. But what I will say is, whoever the manager is, and it's going to be Slot, I'm going to get behind him and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to hope and wish him the best, just as I would with whatever other manager came in. So that's my take on it. You know, Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes and Will Spearman and everybody else have found the guy that they believe is the right fit. Some of the reasons he's the right fit are a little concerning with regards to the overachieving and budget stuff. That's great to some extent, but I also don't want it to be an excuse for FSG not to spend. So that's something I'm concerned about, the owner spending money. But, you know, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and get behind him like we do as with Liverpool managers. You know, he's going to come into it with some positive energy and enthusiasm for the job. He genuinely looks like he's buzzing at the idea of it, and you know, let's get behind him and let's not write him off before we even see a game. Are we getting another Ten Hag? No. So for starters, Ten Hag was working with the biggest budget in the Eredivisie, a 40 million wage budget per year. Feyenoord 25 million. No, we're not getting another Ten Hag. This guy's far more charismatic with regards to his personal relationships with players, with how he handles the media. But look, nothing's guaranteed. And I'm not saying there won't be teething problems. I'm not saying it's absolutely going to be a success. But I'm saying I trust in the recruitment process that Edwards has gone undertaken. And yeah, look, I'm ready. I'm ready for the next manager. Thoughts on me being a manager next season? All I'd be good for would be the team talks, mate. That'd be the end of it, you know. After that, no. I imagine me getting us relegated. That'd just be, you know, me destroyed. Really excited to see what'll happen next season, said Mart. The new style and the players and so on. Do you think Van den Berg will do well when he comes back? Oh, I'm glad you asked about him, actually, mate. Thank you for bringing him up, Clonky. I feel he deserves pre-season and for the new manager to have a look at him, because he's definitely had a good campaign with Mainz in Germany. So yeah, I feel like he definitely deserves the opportunity to show what he's learned and how he's progressed. And let's see what happens. But it is an interesting one. You know, it's definitely been a good move for Van den Berg. What would you rate Szoboszlai out of 10? I've got to give you two different answers. What we've seen this season, 6. What he's capable of 8s and 9s easily. He has all the tools: the pace, power, athleticism, ability to manipulate the football, ability to pick out a pass, ability to score. But for whatever reason, and I never write players off in their first year, we've had a mixed bag with Szoboszlai this season. Whether it's been played at a position or in a new system, different league, don't know. But I know what he's capable of. Do I think Carvalho will be back? Unsure, Jason, mate. Unsure. Somebody mentioned earlier on, what do I think of his time at Hull? I think he's done very well. Under Amarim, if he had to come in, I think yes, we would have maybe seen him get a chance. Again, like I said, I think pre-season, you know, all these players that are out on loan that potentially have a future with us, I think give them the pre-season and the new manager will want to have a look at them. Craig, the clip of you asking why is Klopp smiling is getting some amount of views. Sorry, but it's hilarious. Well, I don't mind, mate. You know, I don't like people smiling when things are going wrong. It drives me demented. My coping mechanism is to break stuff and shout and bang and be loud. Maybe Jurgen's is to smile. I don't know. You know, every person deals with adversity or frustration in different ways. I just don't deal with it very well. So look, anything I do, anything I say, I stand over it. It's my content. You know, if it goes out there and I've said it, whatever happens after that, it happens. If people use it to laugh at me, laugh with me, agree with me, disagree with me, that's part of what we do. You know, you make content, put it out into the world, and what happens after that happens after that. Can you do an end of season player ratings? Absolutely. And goal of the season. Yes, brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. Actually, I'm going to stick that in my notes. 1 second. I do have a list of notes that I keep for content ideas and stuff, so I'm going to put that one in there now. I think it's a brilliant idea. Thank you. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. That's a great idea, mate. Thank you for that. We conceded the first goal on 15 occasions this season. In the league, perhaps, but I think it's 22 or 23 in all competitions that we conceded first in. So Arne Slot was speaking after the game tonight, by the way. And he said, as I've said earlier, I would like to go to Liverpool. The clubs are still in negotiations and Liverpool would be a good next step for me. So he seems like he definitely wants it. And he's openly talking about it. So it does look like they're negotiating. Did you see Klopp telling Nunez to be quiet? Yes. At the end of the game? Yes, I did. I don't know my top 3 Salah replacements, mate. I've not been ignoring your question. I just don't know 3 off the top of my... Like, we did speak earlier on, and I mentioned players like Olise, Neto, but concerns about injury there. Chiesa would be an interesting one. Kudus would be a decent one. Somerville from Leeds, whether you think it's good or bad idea, we've been linked a little bit with as well. I've no doubt Michael Edwards has a list with the statistics and everything needed to make that decision, and I'm intrigued to see who it might be. What do you do if Mo stays? Get behind him. Same as everybody else, mate. If he signs a new deal and he stays at the club, then we hope he turns his form around and we hope he continues breaking records. So, yes, absolutely. I just feel like we're going to see him leave. But if he stays, I'll be right behind him. Right, my friends, I'm going to say goodnight to you, and I'm going to start reading up on some stuff for the Arne Slot video I will record tomorrow. But just a reminder, there is no live stream tomorrow. It's our day off, so we will put out a couple of videos. One will be a clip, one will be me giving you some information about Arne Slot. Until then, I will see you guys on Saturday for the watch along. We'll be starting from 11:30 right here. Hopefully we can turn it around and get a victory against West Ham and give Jurgen a bit of momentum towards the end of his tenure at the club. Thank you to everyone that joined us. If you haven't, please do drop a like. Please do hit that subscribe button. And thank you for a really fun 2 hours. Learned a lot. Appreciate your time as always. And have yourselves a wonderful Thursday and Friday. And I'll catch up with you soon. Much love. Bye-bye.